What does your dad do?
He does diving.
He does diving. What does that mean? Does it mean he goes in the ocean every day?
He goes on the boat sometimes.
Yeah. And what does he see when he goes in the ocean?
He sees a lot of fish, coral, anemones.
Anemones?
Clams.
What else does he see? Did he take people into the water?
He teaches people.
Yeah.
He teaches people diving.
Yeah. And does he teach people how to look after the corals as well?
They clean up the reef too.
Really? What do they do when they clean up the reef?
They pick up garbage.
And what do they do with it afterwards, do you know?
They put it in the reef garbage.
Yeah. They look after it so it's not hurting the reef there, does it? Yeah. And do you think grown-ups can do more stuff to make sure that everything's not clean and... What do you say is the major difference between being on Koh Tao?
I feel alive here. I feel having a life.
Yeah.
And not just being a little tiny screw in the whole system. A little tiny wheel that's turning with the whole system. I'm an individual on my own, and I'm living my life, the life that I decided to live.
Koh Tao, when I first came, was strictly like it was a hippie island. Everybody who came here was a hippie. That's all they came to do was to hang out. Diving was so secondary to everything. I think the first time I came here, I spent almost 6 weeks not even diving on Koh Tao. And it was like small little paths everywhere, a lot of jungle, no electricity. At that time, there was maybe 2 boats a week to the island, there and back. So yeah, it was very, very different.
And 8 o'clock in the evening, the lights went out and everybody went to bed, and there was nothing. This was a desert island with one little shop and a few huts, and that's about it.
I would say it became from a hippie island to something what we call now a very professional diving island, right? Yeah, I mean, 15 years ago, the people calling themselves backpackers, they had tattoos and long beards and CC top long hair. Yeah, so they were a different kind of customer range than we have right now. Backpackers right now more the ones that finish university, young people, right? They travel the world before they actually start working and getting serious with their life. So let's say the age dropped as well immensely in this case of the people visiting Koh Tao right now. But it's still a backpacker island.
I think we all kind of call it home because we feel like our family lives here, really. Whenever people go home on holiday, they always say, oh, I'm coming home soon, which is coming back to Koh Tao rather than going back to where they live. So we're I would say one big happy family. Not always, not always. People have their little fallouts here and there. Altogether, I think we're all here for a reason, which is because we love the lifestyle. It's hot and sunny and happy, and even if you're having a really bad time, you can just go down to the beach at sunset, have a nice cold beer and look out across the ocean, and nothing is ever that bad. It's always going to make you feel better.
Where do we live? Where is it that we live?
Koh Tao.
Koh Tao.
Franklin said that.
Franklin said Koh Tao. And what do you like about Koh Tao?
It's because it has a lot of sun and no snow, because I hate cold.
Yeah. And do you like the sea?
No.
No?
I like the pool.
You like the pool? But do you like the fishes as well?
Yeah, I do too.
It's a right mixture. It's a right mixture between good restaurant, good bars, good nightlife, and also nice beaches. Also quiet beaches still, even if it gets busier and busier every year. But we still have to just sit on the motorbike for 10 minutes and we are on the beach on our own. and I think this is the unique part of Koh Tao.
So already as a visitor here, you already have this warm feeling, and that's what I think the island gives. It's just this warm feeling of comfort that people really enjoy, and that's what keeps them coming back, year after year.
I came here to work with a non-profit group originally, and after that I decided I just fell in love with the island after basically one day. I knew I wanted to live here. So after I started working with the non-profit, then I started to do my own conservation projects within one of the dive schools, and then subsequently bringing that out to all the dive schools, what we were doing in that one dive school, through the Save Koh Tao group. So for about the last 4.5 years now, we've also been working through the Save Koh Tao group with many of the dive schools here on the island for conservation, social, environmental type projects.
You can't stop the growth of an island. This island belongs to the Thais, and they live here, they grew up here, and they also want prosperity like everybody wants. And they get prosperity through us coming here and spending money. So it's part of the natural development, I guess. Any place where tourists go for the first time, within years many people will go there because it's a nice place, obviously.
When we first started, we had 6 dive schools sign up. It was Bands, Big Blue, Blacktip, Crystal, New Heaven, and Sunshine, which are some of the schools that are most involved in Save Koh Tao on a regular basis. Since that time, we've also had a few other dive schools like Master Divers and New Way and Montelay decide that they wanted to join up as well, so we're working with those dive schools to also integrate them into this program. And then in the last few years, they've been trying to integrate a lot more with foreigners living on the island, with the Burmese working on the island. And so we do monthly projects, things like grass plantings and artificial coral nurseries and cleanups, those types of things. And sometimes we may get 150 to 250 people coming to join up from all different types of backgrounds, but everybody who's here on the island, and maybe for a day, maybe for 10 years, but loves the place and wants to give something back. So it's just kind of a loose association of people who really want to do good here on the island. And we have 3 branches. We have the education branch, working with the local school. We have the land conservation branch that deals with a lot of the rubbish, recycling, wastewater. And then we have the marine branch, which deals with the marine education, research, and restoration.
And I think if you're in the service industry such as tourism, diving industry in particular, the one that we're doing here, then it's just common sense really to to have conservation activities going on. I mean, we all use the resources from the ocean, so I think it's, like I said, common sense just to go down and to do a little bit of protection, giving something back as well as taking.
The last 3 days have been very interesting few days for us in Save Koh Tao. We got a phone call 3 days ago that the Marine Fisheries Department had caught an illegal fishing boat within our island. So there's a protected area where nobody's allowed to fish, and that boat was found about 30 to 40 meters inside that protected zone. Police had gone into the Fisheries Department and arrested the captain and the crew of the boat, and also found some drugs on board. And they decided that they wanted to make an example of this guy and go around and take up a lot of his cages and get that on film.
What actually transpired was that we went to a local fishing boat which had been caught illegally fishing in the area. There were a number of representatives from all sorts of local community groups, which included the Mayor of Koh Tao, representatives from Save Koh Tao, including Pikeng and Chad Scott, representatives from the local fisheries department. This was the initial exploration of what actually the extent of the problem was. It was a little bit disappointing in the first instance because the fisherman had actually taken us back to cages that he had obviously emptied recently. So there was only a few fish in there, but after a little bit more pressure from the local community, the fisherman actually took us to a 3rd cage, which was extremely full. It was one of those things, it was kind of extremely distressing to see and quite empowering to know that the community had come together to actually make this statement about what was acceptable within, the protected areas of Koh Tao.
มันมีความสำคัญมากนะครับจริงๆทรัพยากรทั้งหมดที่เรามีอยู่ในทะเลนะมันเกิดจากธรรมชาตินะครับไม่ใช่ได้มีว่าชาวบ้านหรือผู้ประกอบการคนไหนเป็นผู้สร้างขึ้นมาฉะนั้นเราประมาณค่าเขาไม่ได้ฉะนั้นผมบอกว่าเราต้องมีการอนุรักษ์นะครับอนุรักษ์ ปกป้องทรัพยากรอันล้ำค่าตรงนี้ให้ถึงชั่วลูกชั่วหลานแล้วก็ถ้าตราบใดที่เรายังมีทรัพยากรที่สมบูรณ์แบบนะครับผมเชื่อว่าจะเกิดประโยชน์ต่อชาวบ้านเกาะเต่าและผู้ประกอบการเกาะเต่านะครับในอนาคตข้างหน้านะครับ
It was quite distressing because there was a number of eskies, frozen containers containing a huge amount of fish, including fish that weren't really suitable for eating. They included scruple fish, triggerfish. There was a huge amount of rabbitfish on board. They had cobia, they had groupers actually in the bilge tank. So there were some fish that were still alive, but the vast majority were dead.
Do we want to be the ones who knew what had to be done but did nothing?